Hey everybody, welcome to today's live. Today we are doing readings, which means you have a chance to book a reading with me live using the link in the chat. So if you are here now watching, the first thing I want you to do if you're jumping on live and you want to participate is I want you to check the live because sometimes people join the live but they don't realize they're at the beginning, but we're already 20 minutes or an hour into the broadcast. So I want you to, especially if you're jumping on and you want to get a live reading, now is the moment to make sure that your broadcast is sped up to the current moment. So you've skipped ahead of any of the past and gone to the current moment, because sometimes people book and I'm already like in the live and they don't understand why I'm not answering them, but I am. They're just not at that spot. So that's the first thing I want you to do. The second thing is that if you would like a live reading from me, you can click the link in the top of the chat and that will take you to the booking page. And let me check our sound. Okay. So we're good. So I want to say hello, Patricia. I'm not sure when you said hi. If you're here, hello. And one second. Okay, and then for anyone else, you guys can book using the link at the top of the chat. It looks like Ruben is here. Just out of curiosity, does a retrograde Jupiter work the same as a regular one? That would be not exactly, but I wouldn't say I don't want to get into that here. Retrogrades are not what people think. So I will say it's not bad. Retrogrades in the natal chart are not bad. They just kind of represent areas of life where we tend to go back over things. It's kind of what it means. I mean, I know that's really simple, but that's what it means. It means, and that's why people say retrogrades are linked to desire, because you want that thing bad enough to go back and like redo something for it. So, and usually we're looking at the houses that Jupiter rule. So the houses in your chart that retrograde planet is in charge of. So that's going to be for Jupiter. That would be Pisces or Sagittarius, and then you would look at that. But let's go on to what we're here to do today, which is live readings. And thanks for the question, Ruben. Maybe we'll have to do an actual live Q&A sometime soon, so I can do that. That'd be nice. And then hello, Cora. Hi to everyone else jumping on. Patricia is here. And yeah, a lot of people wonder, Ruben, about those natal retrogrades. And I think that's partly because there's so much hype about them in like, mainstream astrology or whatever, pop astrology. But it's not, and it's like I would say retrograde planets are not easy, but I wouldn't say they're bad. I wouldn't say they're bad like a planet that's like squaring Saturn or Mars, way worse than a retrograde. Now, those of you with Saturn Mars squares, don't come for me. If you do, I have a video on Saturn Mars, so you can watch that whole video on that placement alone with examples and lots of stuff I talk about. Because it's like we have the two bad planets teaming up together. It's like, of course, that's a hard one. It's like a unique aspect for that reason. Um, all right. Yeah. Ruben's saying I have such a great Jupiter in Cancer in the ninth and ninth and Placidus 10th and whole sign, but it's retro, so I don't know. I would just treat it like a regular Jupiter. I mean, I would just expect it to be like a regular Jupiter. And I would, you're having a Jupiter return. You can always look back if you know how to do it. You can look back and see what happened last time Jupiter was in Cancer. And then you could see that depending on how old you are, because that's 12 years. You could do that 12 years before that. Um, so that's always a thing you can do. And if you don't know how to do that, that's something you can ask me to do for you, either on one of these or in a reading. It looks like we got our first person. Let me make sure. Yes. So it's Chantel. Do you want to let us know? Let me know, Chantel. Um, Actually, yeah, who you are in the chat if you would like. And it's looking like you're choosing natal chart, so I need to get your chart in here. For anyone else who's like wanting to book, now's the time because they tend to start booking up pretty quick after the first person books. Please do videos on each planet in POZ or negative aspect to each planet. I've thought about this, and we're gonna get to Chantel. I have considered this, but when you do, it's just sometimes those videos don't get very many views. So I'm not sure. I mean, I could kind of go back and do some new series, but it's not growing like it needs to. And the ones that I do on like the placements that are coming up, those are the ones. So I hear you though, Ruben, and I'm not against that. I kind of tried doing that, but again, those videos didn't do that well. Planet in positive or negative aspect. Okay, I see it. Yeah. Yeah, I have a couple. I mean, I know I have Mars, Saturn, but I think I have more on like the planets and the signs and the houses, right? Like I have a series on the planets and the houses, and I have several series on the planets and the signs. So, if you haven't seen those, it's worth it to kind of go through the channel and just look through the playlists because there's a lot of videos here for you guys. For those of you who are new or who maybe just don't know because you've seen the videos come up on your feed and you just kind of watch them as you go, you can binge this channel for a very long time. Okay. So going on now. Thanks, Ruben, for all the chit chat about that. I appreciate it. And yes, Chantel, let me do what I was about to do, which is, and I'll have a timer for you, Chantel, so you will get your time. I'm going to add in your chart here while no one else can see, and then we will get going. Okay, and I try try not to breathe into the mic, but I'm not making any promises. Surviving 2025. Cora, what are you worried about? I mean, like, what are you worried about surviving from? And maybe put that somewhere or email me because I'll see it on this live, but it'll just go past. You know what I mean? So comment that or email it to me. Is there a transit you're worried about, or are you hearing what other astrologers say about it? Okay. Okay. So, Patricia, these are readings you have to book with me. So we have one person. Okay, cool, Cora. I'll check it out later. We have one person ahead of you, one person booked, and the next person who books will be next, and so on until the time runs out. There's a limit of time. So that's how it works. If you want to get in on it, feel free. And if you weren't wanting to do that, then just stay and hang out and watch with us. I love having you guys here. It's really fun to have people watching. Okay, let me make sure. Yes. I'm just getting this screen up. Chantel, let us know in the chat who you are. That would be great. And I am going to set the timer here and then we will be ready. Okay, so here we go. That's better. Chantel, this is your chart. And yeah, we have your natal chart here, and I'm just kind of scanning it to see what really jumps out at me the most. And immediately we have a winner, which is Moon square Uranus. Now, this is one that I just know I can. It's going to be super important to your life. Why? Because the moon is your insect planet, which means it's the planet that's more the sun or the moon. The moon is stronger for you. So, and this is a tight aspect. Uranus is 15 and the moon is 18. And Uranus and the moon don't really agree. So it's one you usually feel when you have Uranus moon. Okay, it's SW. Hello. Okay, I'm glad you're here. It helps. It helps me when I know you're here. Because then like you booked it, you're here, it's good. If you want to share as I say stuff, you can, and if you don't have to. So first of all, Moon square Uranus people are kind of used to feeling like they don't really belong or they don't fit in. Uranus is the rebel, the outcast. Uranus, was abused by one of his kids and flew away to the sky. So sometimes people with Moon Uranus have an experience of a removal or an absence of a caretaker, like a sudden, unexpected one. Sometimes they, like when they're young, sometimes there's something about, because the moon is the mother and it's the mothering, nurturing experience in life. And right now you have, not right now, but in your life, you have that planet with a planet that's like, very not warm and fuzzy. Okay. So, again, an experience of feeling like an outsider, but there's cool stuff about this one. The cool stuff is it's like you maybe don't fully get all of the warm and fuzzy experience of family life when you're younger the way other people do. Or it's just unique and different and interesting and you have stories to tell. But like you tend to have this sort of like outlook on life where you're like a child of the world and you tend to have more ability to like love people from afar or care about people from afar or care about people who are fit the Uranus stereotype, which is going to be like wanderers, people who are like not mainstream people, the weirdos, the freaks, and the weirdos, the freaks, and the something. There's something else that should go in there. But like the misfits, you know what I mean? So like you tend to really care about those kind of people. And there's also a thing with Moon Uranus where it's like you're the different one in the group, right? So like you will be, if you're a makeup artist, then you're the makeup artist that came from the other country. Or if you're the astrologer, you'll be the astrologer that uses paper charts. Or wherever you are, it's like you're the unique one in the group. And then your group of friends can be this very, very interesting group because of this. Now, let's take this a step further. We're going to go over our 5 minutes, I'm sure, here. But I just set the timer for 5 and then I go as long as I want and then I move on to the next person. So then for that, there's also the consideration that the moon rules your third house of siblings. So if you have a sibling, that might be a challenging relationship, honestly. That would be my guess, where like maybe they were mean and you had to stop talking to them, or there was a sudden event against them or something difficult or traumatic happened in their life. If you don't have a sibling, then ignore that. But the moon ruling the third house is also going to represent your local environment, the people in your local environment. Yeah. So I feel like you'll be surrounded by like nurses or like traveling nurses or just like people who want to like Earth Mother granola crunchy kind of people. Either way, that's totally fine. But then another thing about this square is that it's Virgo versus Sagittarius. So there'll be this internal conflict between whether to prepare for things or just jump right in. Because Virgo wants to get ready and to prepare and to like know step A through Z before even taking step A. And Sagittarius is kind of more messy and wants the experience. It doesn't care about being ready. And so you may find that you have times in life where you're like, no, 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 I can't do this. I'm not ready. And then that Uranus will come on along from Sagittarius and zap that moon and activate it. And you'll be like, bam, we're going right now. And you might not even be ready at the moment that inspiration strikes. And your energetic nature, your stamina, your physical like body and endurance is probably also going to have a similar rhythm where it's like Virgo is not fast, right? But then that Sagittarius comes in as like, we're ready to go. There's nothing wrong with that. But with a Virgo Sagittarius square, it's about learning how to direct the energy and learning when, especially with Mars and Venus also in Virgo, where there's a lot of feelings of like, we need to be ready. This can make you very, very capable of like Venus and Virgo is usually known for caring a lot about the details and getting everything just right and doing a good job at whatever they do. Maybe working with aesthetic things or working with makeup or something, like just doing really, and it might not be makeup, but just let's go with that as an example, just like having the perfect lines every time. So Venus can be quite helpful here in Virgo with the moon. Mars can also, though, be really good at things, but then the challenge for Mars and Virgo people in general is really you have to push yourself so hard to be ready. And I think this Uranus maybe helps because instead of going, oh, I'm getting ready to be ready, I'm making a list, I'm making another list, that kind of thing. Or let me read another book about this, whatever, however that shows up. There's this Sagittarius Uranus that just comes in and is like, bam, we're doing it. And so I think that actually helps a lot with this square. Mutable squares are also very, very good at adjusting to others. So this helps balance out that Taurus rising that will tend to be more fixated. Taurus and Scorpio placements don't like change. So having this mutable square helps to balance that out, and squares are very energizing. And then the last thing I'll say today is that Mars and Venus are conjunct here, and this is a very magnetic aspect, especially for love, especially in the fifth house. So there is that sort of like what's the word, flirtatiousness, and like what it is, it doesn't mean your relationships are always perfect, but it is definitely a strength because you have charisma usually, and especially in dating and love, you can draw in the person you want to, and not everyone can do that. And I think this probably is going to extend to life in general, as far as people with Mars Venus tend to have charisma and like charm, and being in the fifth house definitely adds to this sense of charm. So I'm going to stop there just because of time. I hope you enjoyed your reading. Feel free to let us know if you related to anything, and we're going to go on to our next people. So the next person is Ruben. So let me get this chart down and then get yours up here, Ruben. If anyone else wants to book there, you can book next. Oh, and also I have a little offering right now that I'm doing that I'll tell you guys about now. It's a Mars and Venus dynamics video. So this one it's a 10-minute video, so it's a lot like what we just did, but it focuses only on your Mars and Venus, the strengths, the challenges of those two planets, how they relate to each other. Now that can apply to relationships, but it can apply to just life and love in general. Okay, great. All this is all very accurate. Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And Ruben saying, I kind of have a good idea of the challenging aspects, but I would love to look at the trines and sextiles. I'm curious about if you can. Sure. Absolutely. I do appreciate that because I do tend to look at the challenges. So for those of you who wanted to get that Mars and Venus video, I'm just going to make sure there's a link there in the comments. There's not, so let me just add that and then we'll get on with the show. It is going to be in the chat. Okay. All right. Cora's saying I have Scorpio, both Mars and Venus. I don't hate Scorpios. I don't hate Scorpio placements. I don't think, I mean, they have their challenges, but it's like, I don't know. I have Mars and Scorpio. I wouldn't trade it. I mean, I wouldn't trade that little mini hell realm in my life for anything else. Okay, Ruben, I'm just getting your chart in here. Wait, do I have you? I think I have you. But I'm gonna check. Yeah. I don't remember the last one, especially if it was one of these. So I'm not gonna apologize because I won't, unless it was last week or something. I won't remember what we cover on these mini lives from one to the next. So if you get one and you want to get another one, you have to remember what we talked about and tell me so I don't tell you twice. See, it's like, it's just one of those things you just, if you have it, Mars and Scorpio has its benefits, okay? In more ways than one. It really does. Strategy is just natural. Not hell realm. It's not a hell realm for you, Cora. Okay. Okay, Ruben, let me get your chart up. Why is it not going? I gotta be smarter than the thing. All right. Exactly. Argue with me, try. I know I have to make myself not argue with people. That's the thing. And I could just talk about this forever. You guys are just bringing out the best conversation today. People with strong Mars like to argue. And the thing is that I'll just destroy someone's argument and I'm not even trying to be mean. I'm just like, but wait, can't, and it just like comes out. And then I'm like, oops, now they're sad. Okay, we just did your Jupiter return. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Let's go Ruben then. So we've got positive. Well, we have Venus. Venus with the moon in Capricorn. We have, I mean, you have some sextiles here between Mars and sign-based sextile, right? From Mars, Pluto to all these planets. But I mean, I think the opposition between Venus and Jupiter is probably a better situation. And even this trine here, sometimes that's the thing is that, like, do you want me to just talk about positive stuff? Because trines aren't always positive. So I think we should just do like the positive stuff, not positive aspects, because they're different. I think Jupiter in Cancer is, on first glance, the best thing I see in your chart. Because even though I know you were asking about the retrograde, it's still going to be Jupiter in the 10th in Cancer. I mean, it's still exalted. which means anytime a transit happens to it, it's going to have something good happen. And Jupiter in Cancer tends to be good for things like, in general, family, in general, the ability to kind of take care of other people or make people feel comfortable and have situations where people take care of you, whether that is getting a job that takes care of you financially or whether that is something else. And it is likely that work, it's like, because it's Jupiter, your work could bring you a certain amount of notoriety, a certain amount of success. It kind of gives me the feeling that you could be recognized for your work. I don't mean like necessarily super famous, but just recognized, because it's like the work that you put into a skill could be, it's up here, it's visible to others. So you might have to go back and redo it though. Let me know if that makes sense based on what's happening in your life. Okay, I want to talk about the sun in Sagittarius because this one is good. So all the planets have like they have dignity, but they have elements that they do better in and elements that they don't do well in. The sun does well in Sagittarius because the Sagittarius wants to point the arrow and like have a target. So because you have sun and Sag, you're going to be happiest if you have a target to reach. You're going to be happiest when you have a goal that's kind of inspiring, and you might be sad if you don't. So there's positive and negative to everything, but like make sure you have a nice positive goal you're working toward. Otherwise, life will feel lackluster and nobody likes a bored Sagittarius. You got to be moving. You got to be doing something. You got to be trying to reach something. Let's talk about the moon in Capricorn though, because this one is going to get a bad rap. And so I'll talk about what could be good about it. The moon in Capricorn gets a bad rap because it's opposite its sign of Cancer. So why is that bad? Because it's hard to express your emotions when you have the moon in Capricorn, and you have needs, but you don't want to tell people what they are. But there's good sides to this moon. It can make you a very diligent, hardworking, strong person. And I know most people are like, but I don't want to be a strong person. But you are. With the moon in Capricorn, you can work hard, you can sacrifice, you can go without something for like a positive result, an end result you want. You can limit your personal, like you can skip lunch. You know what I mean? Like anybody can, but like you're more designed to, you're more designed to get a little bit less sleep, get a little bit less of something, and then gain it back in achievement. So achievement would be a strong keyword that I would think for someone with this much Capricorn. And I would think that, there's an interesting dynamic here between the Jupiter here, but also the Chiron here, and then all this Capricorn here. So it's like there's a little more on the Capricorn side of the axis, right? But I think Capricorn may also get a bad rap, right? But it's like Capricorn is how you get places. So you've got this sun in Sagittarius that wants to get places. You've got, your planet that rules you is like also wants to accomplish things. And this is why, Venus isn't that bad in Capricorn, actually. And the reason is because when you work hard, you get stuff. When you work hard, you can use it to make money and then buy stuff. And then you get to take care of your physical needs. Venus in Capricorn is very good at, like tending to the physical parts of reality, taking care of those things, and that kind of stuff. Okay, what else is good here? Oh man, did it just disconnect? What the? Okay, I'm trying not to flip out here. But let's make sure we're still on. Okay, well it seems, let me make sure we're working. Okay, I think we're good now. It just scared the crap out of me. I thought it disconnected. Um, what about Pluto, Mars, trine Jupiter? Yeah, I'm not thinking that's probably the best one. We can talk about it, but if I mean, what would be good about this trine? Well, the determination of Mars gets you places, right? Because Mars actually trines your midheaven, and that's the aspect here that I'm most interested in. Mars trine Jupiter usually is like you want to get the most out of life and you're willing to fight for it. It's like um, go big or go home. Let's be competitive. Let's be a little in your face. Let's duke it out. Let's or just being more athletic. Jupiter makes Mars and Scorpio more, right? So being more strategic. It doesn't necessarily being louder at strategy, being more interested in getting to the bottom of things. So this Mars Pluto could have a positive function if you're studying the mechanics of something, but it could also be you playing video games to, get your fighter really strong, right? Because that there's almost like this obsessive need to win with Pluto Mars, but Mars gets buried by Pluto and then it gets unlocked, right? It gets unburied, which already would have happened, right? Because actually, wait a minute. No, that may not have happened because Pluto hasn't squared these yet. So, like, I wouldn't worry about that. But just sometimes there's like this deep inner fight inside of you that you just have to find a positive outlet for these planets. Thank you, Patricia. And the good part here, though, is Mars trining the midheaven. And what I think here is that if you use strategy, it can help you in your career. You probably, and sometimes Mars in Scorpio could be something more mundane, not mundane, but like every day that Mars and Scorpio rules. Like you could work with plumbing, or you could work with dentistry, or you could work with something that deals with extracting hidden things, working with occult things, working with hidden stuff, researching things you have to sign an NDA for, being a spy, being a freaking, what are they called? Those people you hire, private investigator, or doing something else where you're like researching every little thing about homes or home security or, something cancer related or something, baby food or anything. It could be a lot of different things. But the point here is when you use this Mars Pluto conjunction, it helps you in your career. So that means you can probably do some kind of work, like a business or something else, where understanding strategy and having a obsessive mindset that will not quit helps you. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm studying life and health insurance and going into tarot reading. Yeah. I would definitely think that that could be a thing. That could totally be a thing. Any of those. So yeah, we're going to stop there though because of time. The timer went off a while ago. I just wanted to finish. So yeah, lots of really good stuff just initially looking at this chart. I mean, there's more good stuff though. So to get more of the good stuff, if you wanted in the future, we could keep it to like one planet. So we could do like Venus is good stuff. And then we could do, like go a little bit deeper on each of them. But yeah, we're going to stop there for now. I hope you enjoyed this. Okay. Do we have another? Not yet. Okay. So that means, oh yes, okay. I'm seeing your email, Cora. I'll check that out later. Okay. So that means we have openings. So if you are, okay, you're welcome, Ruben. If you're watching and you're wondering if you can get a reading, the answer is yes. And what you do is you go up to the link at the top of the chat. I've pinned it to the top. So it's right there. And you just click where it says book here. And it'll take you to the page where you can book the reading. And it's first come, first serve. You just click it and go through all the steps. And then you can be next. So I do these on the channel sometimes for anyone who's new and doesn't know. And then you can choose natal or transit. So far tonight, both people chose natal. And um, that's where I look at, yeah, I mean, it's not, it technically has what's called triplicity dignity, Ruben. So that's, if you go by the Hellenistic concept of sect, each planet does better in a different element. And because your sun is below the horizon, Venus is like technically your best planet. But in Capricorn, it doesn't have a ton of dignity, but it has some, and that matters. So Venus in poor dignity is like you can't relate to people. You can't make friends very easily. It's hard to receive when someone offers you a gift. But with Venus in Capricorn, it's like you're able to let the good things happen. You're able to let them in and even do things in life that kind of support being more able to receive. And that's an important part, especially when you have a strong Mars. It's really nice when your Venus has some dignity because then it's like Venus and Mars sort of counterbalance each other. So when you have a strong Mars and a really, really weak Venus, then sometimes that's more challenging to deal with because you don't have that like the good vibes from Venus and the receptivity to kind of draw on. All right. Thank you, Ruben. Okay. So for anyone else jumping on, you can still book. We are going tonight until for a little bit longer. So if you're wanting to get a reading, now is the time. And because I've gone through the first two readings, now we are open. And that means that if you were to book next, your reading would be next. And for the readings, I set a 5-minute timer. And then when that timer ends, I just keep talking as long as I want to to finish the thought. And that might be a couple minutes usually. And then we move on to the next. And so that's how these go. Also, I do have a video right now that I'm doing for people who just want to work with me a little bit further. And that is a Mars and Venus video. I'm going to actually see if I can go now and just put that into the description because maybe I'll comment it. Yeah, maybe I can just comment. How are you guys feeling with the energy right now? I'm feeling like it's going to change soon. It does really feel like that. And I don't, just to be honest, I don't really like to do the like fear mongering stuff. Like, even if bad things do happen, it's not something I want. Okay, it won't let me comment it. So I'm just going to paste it again and I'll have to do that afterwards. I forgot what I was going to say. I don't want to fearmonger about the future. Like, why? Because I've had so many times in my life where I had a challenging transit that I thought was going to be the end of the world and it was kind of fine. Or even if it was hard, it's like I got through it. So I just think sometimes the fear of the thing is worse than the thing. The fear of like running out of money. I've had no money. I've had no money. I've had like, I don't have enough change to do my laundry at the laundromat. No money, you know? And it's like the fear of not having it is so much worse than the actual experience. And I just don't think that's the best way to use astrology. Personally, I'm not against astrologers that are confident at predicting things. It's just not what I want to do with it. That's not what I'm here to do. So enough on that. We got another reading. So Bradley, did you want to comment? It looks like you chose transits. Did you want to comment in the chat to let us know you're here? And I will get your chart up. For anybody else, you can still book. You will just be after Bradley. Okay, I have you in here. So, and you chose transit, so we can do that. Quora's feeling like it feels intense. Yeah, yeah. Vibe fi. All right. We got you here and I've done a reading for you before. Um so yeah, we'll just go with the transits. I'll set the timer and we'll just do it. Okay, so here's the chart and here we go. Yeah, did I tell you about this Uranus Sun transit? That's a big deal. Very big deal. So the sun for you rules, did we talk about this? Because the sun rules your career. And if you have been feeling like you really would like some freedom in your job, you're probably going to get it. The question is, are you ready for it? You know what I mean? Like, this is a big once in a lifetime transit happening for you on the 20th, around the 20th. Now, let's see. I got to see if Uranus was here before. Because, yeah, if it was, wait, if it was, then we have a frame of reference for changes. Okay. Yeah, so I can't recall. All right, then let's cover it. Uranus makes a change. The sun rules your identity. It rules it. It's in your relationship house, so it's connected to your relationships, and it rules your career, your public image. So, did something change around March 2024, end of March, related to your career? Did you make a big sale if you're in a business? Did you change something? Did you disconnect from a business partner or a type of work or something? Also, you have your midheaven on a fixed star. That's like kind of a big deal. So the potential of being successful with this one is really high. And to be honest, I don't normally say that to people. I don't just throw that out there. Um, but this could be like a successful type of a transit or a sudden unexpected change. We don't know what Uranus is going to do. It's like a light switch. It might turn something on. People say activate, but nobody knows what that means. It's like turning on that area of life or turning it off. So was there a connection or a disconnection in work back in May of 2024? And then I'll give you some other dates to consider. So then it retrograded past that point around last November, late November, and then it's going to be here again. So if there was something happening at that time, at that original date I just gave, it's likely to maybe not happen exactly the same way again, but to repeat or to experience the same energy. So, like if it was a change to your job, then there'll possibly be another change. If you were trying to get investment money and you couldn't get it, maybe now you figure out how to get it. Jupiter will be in your eighth house. Jupiter is in your eighth house. It will still be there. Conjunct your natal Mars, making that Mars in the eighth um, placement better. Okay, so Mars in the eighth does tend to like the occult. Mars in the eighth will sometimes have trust issues. Sometimes you'll be obsessed with certain things. Sorry, Mars in the eighth can be a little bit, yeah, obsessed with certain things. Um, yeah, really. This is a very strong, these are very strong placements for someone who is very interested in relationships. Um, that's true. I usually do say that. I usually do tell people what sucks about their chart. Um, okay, let me try to focus here. Yeah, Jupiter hitting Mars, Mars ruling the sixth house, Mars ruling you. Probably something positive gonna happen, but it kind of depends. Like, are you trying to get a loan? Are you trying to get a grant? Are you trying to pay off loans? Did you take out a shitload of loans and now you're gonna start paying them back? But like Jupiter is the financial funding that helps you do that. If you don't have loans, this could be, I mean, it's possible sometimes Mars is an inheritance or something, but I wouldn't predict that unless that's already something you think is going to come. If you think you're going to get an inheritance, or if you think you're going to get something from your, like a lawsuit, like, or an accident, or, you know, something like that, Jupiter could bring something like that. Um, Okay, long term relationships started going through real hardship and falling apart. Okay. Recently paid off all debt. Yay! That's amazing. Looking at buying a house. Maybe at this point you have something happen that helps you make a down payment. If that makes sense for your time schedule, it might be something like that where Mars is you aggressively, you know, like because Mars is like where you're going to do something, right? So, what are you going to do in the eighth house? Take out a loan, make payments, get some interest, pay something off. So that's a thing. Now, again, Mars is also you, and it's in the eighth house of intimacy. So, I mean, do you think that relationship is done or is it still happening? Do you think that, because I'm just going to be honest of what I think could happen. If you have still been connected, I think this could be the disconnection, especially if this is like this relationship probably isn't working very well. And if you feel like you kind of know deep down that it would be better if it was, if you were not with them and you want that freedom, because Uranus comes back again is like, we really want freedom now, but we're not trying to go back and forth anymore. So this is kind of what I feel. But it could also be, why do you disconnect fully? Because maybe you meet somebody else. Mars in the eighth is also intimacy. And, you know, sometimes people with Mars in the eighth are just really interested in the topic of sexuality. Like it's something they studied, or it's like something that's like a bigger part of their life than the average person for multiple reasons. So it doesn't always have to be that though. Um, oh my gosh, my nose itches. It can be just the occult, like you really like studying the occult, or things like that. But it does feel like there could be a new interest come up here. It feels like the thing is, Jupiter's going to make Mars better, and Mars is you. And the sun is going to make you want to change your identity. And there's probably going to be a change to your career. It might give you more freedom again, or it might zap you back and now you don't have freedom anymore. But usually it's not that way. Usually when Uranus hits the planet that rules your career, it's a break from something. So there's that. But you know what? It's also going to hit your midheaven again. So the reason I want to, and by hit, I mean aspect. The reason I want to say that is I don't want you feeling like when Uranus hits the sun, that's it. Your career's forever changed. It could be like that. But then you get another kind of chance to make a change or to experience change this year. And then it'll come back again over that point. So I would predict changes to career through the next year or so, that involve the topic of freedom, for sure. Okay, yeah. So maybe it's more like you meet a new person. Maybe it's more like that change to the relationship status this time is like, okay, now I know who I want to date next. Or, I mean, it could be you buy the house and then you find the house, and that is now you have the identity of homeowner. You know what I mean? Like it, but Uranus setting the sun generally is some kind of identity shift where before you could say I was this person, and after you could say I'm this person. And usually it involves doing what the fuck you want to do. You know what I mean? It doesn't usually involve like having to stay. Usually you just don't do it. If you're supposed to stay in something, you don't do it. Oh, and look, Saturn's there. So this Uranus setting the sun is not just changing your identity, it's also stimulating your innate need for discipline. So it's like getting you out of situations you felt trapped in. So if for some reason the not having the house is something that makes you feel stuck, then maybe it's that. And then what are you saying now? I've been looking to start a food truck, which would be a big shift from video editor. Very cool. Very, very cool. Um, yeah, it could change. I do think I'm not going to comment on whether, should or shouldn't or give any advice, but I will say that it is not, I mean, it is very, very likely to be making a sudden change. So even if you don't do the food truck thing, maybe something changes drastically with the video editor stuff, maybe like if you had a video editing YouTube channel, I would think, it's possible. It's not the only possibility, but it's possible this could be like a sudden, like it blowing up or a change like that. Why? Because Uranus is going to stimulate the sun, and the sun wants to be seen, and the sun rules the career. Okay. Let me see. What else? I'm going to just look a little bit more and talk a little bit more, and then we're going to move on to Jasmine, who is next. And if you have not gotten in, we're getting close to the cutoff time. So for anyone who's like thinking about getting in today, you've got 20 minutes. Yeah, also that Uranus in the second natally does tend toward freelancing. That's really common. So that's like a definitely common thing to see. And what else do I see for transits? Well, Venus retrograding. Venus rules the 12th and the 7th. Now, sometimes, okay, some people for some reason, don't ask me why, some people for some reason, when the planet that rules their relationships retrogrades, sometimes they get into a relationship. And look, the Kazemi happens on, I would pay attention to what happens on this day. I'll give you the date. Pay attention to what happens around the 22nd. It doesn't always translate into something big, but it could be something big. And sometimes it's you, sometimes it's somebody else. But I would just pay attention to anything you realize about relationships at that point, because there can just be a moment of clarity. Sometimes something just happens and it's not a moment of clarity, but sometimes it's this realization. Okay, I'm going to stop there just because of time. I hope you enjoyed, and we're going to move on to the next person. Okay. So we had Jasmine. Jasmine, do you want to say who you are in the chat? Let me see if I have you, if I've read for you before. And if not, I'll put your chart in. Looks like not. Okay, so I'm putting your chart in. 1 second. I'm just putting it in. Sorry. Yay, Jasmine. First time. Okay, so let me see what you chose to. I forgot to look at that. Transits. Okay, perfect. Okay, so it just takes me a second to do all this. And I just want to make sure, is your birth time AM? And then once you say yes, I will show the chart. No, Ruben, no. That's not how that goes at all. Like, at all. It's maybe if sometimes people say you shouldn't meet, so, like, I wouldn't get married. Okay. I wouldn't plan a wedding on a Venus retrograde. And usually it's like, don't text your ex. That's the thing about retrogrades. Usually what happens in real life during a Venus retrograde is someone in that area of life, of the house that Venus is in, will come back into your life temporarily. So since it was in his sixth house, well, maybe an old coworker or an old employee comes back into his life, or even an old pet that he used to know he sees during that time. That's actually the real information of what Venus retrograde will do, but that's not popular, so people don't tell you that. Okay, back to Jasmine. Let me fix that because I totally put AM. And if anyone else wants to book, you've got a few more minutes. Use the link at the top of the chat. All right. All right, let's see if I fixed it. I have to go back and see now. This will take me a second. Because it's delayed, so I have to wait. I have to like go back and watch it and then wait. No, that's still not better. Hold on. Okay, so I'm hoping that it's fixed. It seems like it might be for real this time. Bye, Ruben. And Jasmine, I'm with you. This won't take too much longer. Yeah, I'm just going to keep going. I think we're not really... I'm just going to do it now, but I think my mic got disconnected, but I don't want to make you wait any longer, so we'll do it with the poor audio. Which makes me kind of crazy, but that's what we're going to do. Okay, so, and I'm going to actually turn these off, and then we'll be good. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the chart and do transits for you, Jasmine. And then I'm going to be done. Then we're going to be done. Okay, so let me share the screen and then we'll be good to go. Thanks so much for waiting. The lives are a little bit like this sometimes. Hey Kiki, and I don't know if I said that yet. Okay, so let's get it like this. And let's look at Jasmine's transits. Okay, so we're looking at the chart here. And I'm just going to scan here for a second to see what's really jumping out. This takes me a second to kind of see what's most important here. Okay, so Jupiter is about to square your sun. That's not a bad deal at all. Actually, no, that's not right. Let me start over. Your sun's up here. Mars is gonna conjunct the sun. Let's see when this is gonna happen. How many weeks? That's a couple weeks away. So we'll talk about what it might feel like leading up to that. When Mars goes into the 9th house, your beliefs, you get more passionate about them. When it goes there, you might want to travel more. You might want to study more. You might want to get closer to your spiritual path. And that would be, even though it's Mars, even though Mars is like the planet of war, you had this whole experience of it being kind of stagnant on Venus, being stagnant on the sun. And so for you, the sun rules your career, Venus rules your relationships, and your 12th house of isolation and spirituality. And so Mars coming into contact with both of these planets, first of all, natally, the sun in the 9th is a great placement to have because you can see the vision. And the vision is usually infused with meaning and fulfillment, and there's like a vision for your life. And then with Venus here, when you learn something, when you study, when you meet people of other cultures, when your mind is broadened, you like it. You enjoy it, and you feel like it actually can build on itself, right? So like you realize some spiritual truth and you're like, that was so interesting. And the next time you realize it, you're like, it's more interesting. There's layers of joy that you feel on the spiritual path. So this is a nice one to have for that reason. Mars coming here will stimulate that and will bring more activity to it. So you might be studying, you might be taking a course, you might be wanting to jump into some kind of spiritual course or spiritual book or something that is going to teach you how to develop intuition, or you might be looking at possibly traveling. And while Mars is getting closer to the sun, because the sun rules your 10th house, it's bringing more activity to your job. So it might just be whatever your job is, it's a busier season right now, and that maybe it's been sort of slowly getting busier is what I would think. Like gradually, day by day, we're getting busier until I'll tell you the day that I think it's going to be like the most busy. And it might not be, depending on what you do, it might be there's more pressure on you to get everything done. Around the 20th, this is going to come to a more 20th, 21st, 22nd, even into the 24th and 25th, it's going to be at its peak. And then after the 26th, it will begin to wind down as far as the busy aspect of work. And that can be artist. Yes, artist. Okay. So that might just be you producing more, doing more, or just having some deadlines, or being just really busy and it's like fun and you're happy and you're just engaged. And then Mars moves on and it is going to start stimulating Venus. Now Venus is going to be relationships. Now that can be love, but it can also be friends. You can be more social. You can have more people to talk to. You can have more one-on-one people to talk to from March 26th, 27th, 28th, etc. Going on to, I'll tell you when the busiest day for that is. That's going to be like April, actually. First week of April into the second week of April. Then we have relationships, friendships, fun, people, enjoying life, and your spiritual path, your psychology, or even your time alone being stimulated. So what that might look like is you're working hard and playing hard, or you're playing hard and meditating, like you're getting both of those areas sort of. Maybe you're doing something social that brings in like a spiritual or psychological element to it, and you're doing something with people that lets you explore your subconscious mind, or you're around people who remind you to just contemplate the things you want to contemplate, or something along those lines. But now I kind of want to back it up and see if there's anything else that's a little more current that I can see that can give you a little bit more about like what is happening now, like right now or the next few days. I do see the sun. The sun's going to conjunct Saturn. That's for everyone around the 11th. Now for you, it's going to be in your 11th, 12th. For you, it's going to be your 5th house of fun, because the sun rules your career, your work, your public image. And it kind of does feel like that might be a day of a lot of really hard work, or a day where you kind of have to sacrifice. Like maybe you're stuck inside in four walls and Saturn has you confined. Maybe you want to go do this art booth, but that's the day you have to go to the government office and get a permit. There's the energy this day of feeling possibly stuck. But if you do, just know the sun's going to move past this planet just, by the 13th, and it's going to start moving on toward Neptune, which has a totally different energy, and that all is going to affect your career more because the sun is the planet that rules that. Now let me see if there's any more transits for you, Jasmine, that are going to be, again, a little more current, or that you might even be feeling right now, that I just need to kind of look here. What's the most important? Well, let's see here. I think Jupiter opposite Uranus in the second can actually be bringing you money. It can be good for finances, because Uranus in the second is like a freelancer aspect, and Jupiter actually passed that planet back on around late January. So end of January, Jupiter was retrograde right there, and then it went out of retrograde and started going direct. So I'm wondering if something happened for you. For all of us, when Jupiter goes direct, we get some kind of opportunity, and it can be big, it can be medium-sized, small, depending on our own cycles of life. But for you, this is really bringing some probably financial changes that are opportunity like opportunities, like chances for something, chance to invest, chance to save, chance to take money out of the stock market or take money out of an investment you've made, chance to get a grant or a loan to pay for your business, or something else along those lines, or like just like a sudden payment that maybe it was expected or not. But I'm just curious if maybe Jupiter has brought you something financial around that time. Jupiter is helping if there's challenges with finances, being uneasy. It may or may not. If there are, Jupiter is going to help that, because it's connecting to a planet that's right there in the money house. What else do I see? Although the thing is that Saturn has been sextiling Jupiter, and let's go back in time here. We're going to go back in time. This is going to be a while. I especially feel like finances would have taken a hit around February of 2024 and really felt like a slow energy around them. And that has been slowly fading. And so now it's not like Saturn's gone, but it almost gives me the feeling that the work you've done maybe the last year or so has been a lot of sacrifice for finances. That's okay. That's okay about the date. But I get the feeling that finances may be speeding up a little bit. You didn't hear the date? Ah, okay. So the date would have been for the Saturn and Jupiter, that would have been um, like last year even. Early 2024, like January or February. Of like a time where money is just, you have to work really hard for it, or you have to make a sacrifice, or you make some agreement or something. And then from then till now is like an easing up of that hardship, is what I feel. And then what else do I see? Let's do Venus. So Venus retrograding in that sixth house brings, and then that'll be it for today. Maybe more contemplation related to your spiritual practice. Maybe just thinking about love a little bit more, thinking about what your values are in relationships, what matters to you and the people that you're around. Even if you're not in a relationship, it can be just the people you're around. Oh yeah, see, yeah, okay, yeah. Um, that would make sense where it's like there's getting by. Usually when you move, you have to pay for all that stuff, right? So you have to get by. And then still being in transition, gotten better for sure. That makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. And you know what? I want to go ahead to, this will be where we stop because it'll be something probably positive. Jupiter's going to enter Cancer. The reason that's significant for you is because when Jupiter, it's significant for everyone. When Jupiter gets to 6 degrees, it's opposite your natal Jupiter, which is your money planet. So I would think that there might be some positive financial stuff here. Now, Saturn will be squaring Jupiter at the same time, so this feels like maybe a financial opportunity that does require work. But it might be that kind of work that's like you put in the time and the skills to like really refine your skill set or something like that. Okay, so we're looking at July for this, July 6th. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back in time. I'm going to give you a date. If you don't remember, just write it down and reflect on this after the video. Because there was a time when Jupiter was here before. And so I'm going to ask you if you remember what was happening in your life around July of 2013, late July of 2013, related to money, related to work. That makes so much sense, Jasmine. And if you can't remember, that's fine. Just kind of reflect on that later, because there's probably some kind of similar opportunity that makes sense for where your life is now, right? So if back then you were a teenager, well, it's not going to be the same, right? Because you're in a different time of life. You know, sometimes for some people it's like back then they were married and now they're not. So it's like it's going to take a different shape. Or back then sometimes it's like, oh, back then I was single and I went on a trip, but now I'm married and you're probably not going on a trip, but there's still some good blessings coming in. So I would think that Jupiter entering Cancer for you, especially around the end of July, especially around July of 2025, is going to bring positive opportunities related to finances, related to something you might have to work hard for. Did something happen? Or are you saying, oh gosh, because you can't remember that long ago? And if it was something bad, don't worry. Don't worry, I'll talk you through it. But yeah, or positive things related to the 5th house, which sometimes can be self-employment, creativity. It can be, sometimes it's children, not always. I will, how cool. Yeah, okay. So just think of those topics. Think of what positive thing was happening end of July 2013 for you related to kids. And it could be even a sibling too, because the third house is siblings. Finances, creativity, growth in those areas, growth of like possessions, experiences that really enrich your life, learning, study, courses, foreign languages, anything like that. And then fast forward to this July, it won't be the same exact thing, but whatever. And okay, even if something bad happened, Jupiter probably made it better. So keep that in mind if there were struggles happening back then. That Jupiter's not going to cause that to happen now, but Jupiter probably helped make the problems better if there were problems, that the other planets were doing. I started teaching kids art. Oh my God. I will tell you why I love this so much. I love this so much because Jupiter is in your third house of elementary education. And so are you going to start teaching kids art again? Maybe. Maybe that would be very enriching, but maybe it's more about teaching what you know in a new context. Maybe you're going to start teaching art to beginners, or maybe you will go back to that, or maybe it will be something new that's like, oh, I'm going to start painting at the bar, at this paint and sip, or paint, or like whatever you do, whatever type of art you do. Maybe it's something where you do art in your local environment in some way, but teaching art could totally be it as well, especially if that's something you're trying to do. And keep in mind, this time there's going to be a theme of sharpening your skills. So it's almost like an internship or like an apprenticeship, or like you have a portfolio and it gets you to some next level where you get to do more art or something. So just know that there's probably some kind of opportunity like that. Now it might take a different form this time, right? It might be you go overseas and start learning a new language, or you go teach English to kids or something, or you start teaching English to kids, or something else that still has those same energies but is just showing up in a different way. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I want to leave you with something positive. Okay, I'm glad you love it, and thank you to everyone who booked today. If you did not get a chance to book and you're bummed, I currently have videos. I have a 10-minute video on Mars and Venus. It's not going to be around forever. It's for a limited time only, and you can get it. I put the link in the chat, and after the video is done, I will put the link in the description. Thanks, Jasmine. And again, thank you to everyone else. I hope you guys have an amazing night, and I will see you beautiful souls in the next video. Bye, guys.